pieces of Jack Smith's probe into Donald Trump's attempted coup is where we begin the hour with some of our most favorite reporters and friends. Former lead investigator for the January 6th Select Committee, Tim Heaphy, is back. Plus, New York Times reporter Katie Benner is here. Also joining us, former Republican Congressman David Jolly and former U.S. Attorney, now law professor at the University of Michigan, Barbara McQuaid. Tim Heaphy, Rusty Bowers was this witness that was, I think, so quietly compelling. And he had the most low-key way of articulating the complete absence of any evidence of all, and revealing that he was being asked to do something that they knew there was no predicate for, that they knew they had no proof of fraud. If Jack Smith has been able to piece together places where the committee was not able to see, how does Rusty Bowers fit into what we understand Jack Smith's probe into the multi-state conspiracy to look like?
So Rusty Bowers, Nicole, is not a whole. He is going to, I think he said on CNN last night, he told the FBI the same thing that he's always said, that he told the Select Committee and that he told America in that nationally televised hearing. No mystery, right? He was the Speaker of the Arizona House, a Republican speaker, and he received two direct communications from the president asking him to do something that had no basis in fact or law. And Speaker Bowers reiterated that to the president, told him, "You're asking me to do something that is against my oath." Giuliani admitted to him that they had no evidence to support any alternate slate of electors beyond the Biden slate that had been already certified. So he's an important witness because of those direct communications with the president. The special counsel is building a wall of evidence of intent. The president is told repeatedly there's no basis for these fake electors, yet nonetheless continues to directly solicit their submission. That looks more and more like intent to interrupt, impede an official proceeding, the joint session. So I'm not surprised that Jack Smith and his team have gone to Rusty Bowers. But to be clear, that part of the story has been evident for a long time. He's just trying to get it on the record in front of his grand jury.
Well, it's interesting, too, to put this on the timeline. I mean, we're learning about this now, but this happened before Rudy Giuliani's voluntary interview. So where do you think, I mean, he told Caitlin Collins that he was in about 3 months ago. If Rusty Bowers was in 3 months ago and Brad Raffensperger was in about a week ago and Rudy Giuliani has voluntarily met with prosecutors, what do you think Rudy Giuliani's current state of exposure is?
Rudy Giuliani's had exposure from the beginning. Again, the facts give him exposure, and he was directly soliciting the submission of these fake electors and continuing to make these public statements with no basis in fact or law. That's why his license to practice law has been removed. Now, I don't know if he's continuing to stick to that when he goes in front of the grand jury. He did stick to that when he testified before the Select Committee, or whether or not he has changed his tune and has worked out some sort of deal with the special counsel where he will admit that he had awareness that there was no basis in fact in law and continued nonetheless to perpetuate the fake elector scheme and ultimately aided and abetted the attempt to obstruct the official proceeding. That is a missing piece, what Mr. Giuliani's status is. But there's no question, Nicole, just based on the record, we know that he has exposure as a potential co-conspirator.
So Rudy has exposure. We know what a lot of these state actors said. Some of them, I think, had voice messages that were played in the public hearings. We also know that Pence has gone in, Meadows has gone in, and there's been very little sort of reading out from what Pence and Meadows said. What is your sense of how far along Jack Smith is, if he's post-Pence, post-Meadows, and again, Rudy has asked for an interview? Do we think he's close on Trump?
I think he's getting closer and closer to the leader of the conspiracy. Those people that you just named are very, very proximate to the main causal actor here, the former president. And that suggests that Jack Smith is getting closer to concluding the fact-gathering portion of this investigation. He has an open grand jury. He's continuing to put witnesses before the grand jury. He wants to look under every possible rock for information, but you don't get to witnesses like Mark Meadows and Mike Pence until you're close to the end, right? The typical pattern is that you work up a chain of culpability in an alleged conspiracy over the course of an investigation, because when you talk to those witnesses, you want to be as thoroughly prepared as possible and know what other people have said. So all of this, Giuliani, Meadows, Pence, suggests that he is getting close to the end of the fact gathering. Now, there's going to have to be a lot of assessment about what that evidence means. Will there be a criminal charge? That doesn't mean an indictment is imminent, but it certainly looks like the fact gathering is winding down.
Tim, when you see all of the witnesses from the fake electors plot, what crimes does that suggest to be in focus? Where, I mean, is that the obstruction of the official proceeding, or is that the conspiracy to defraud? What crimes would he be looking at?
Yes, and then 1001, right? A false statement. So it's a crime to lie under oath or submit some sort of false statement on an official record. And these fake electors, which purport to be certified and official, that's the key. They indicate that they are official, that they are certified, when in effect they are contrary to the slates of electors, which were in fact certified for President Biden. That makes them lies. That makes them false statements. That's why they're fake electors. And that generates 18 U.S.C. Section 1001, a very common federal criminal charge of lying. Obstruction of official proceeding, absolutely. If the submission of them is part of a multi-part plan to prevent the certification of the election, as the Select Committee recommended, that would certainly be evidence of that's 1512C. And then conspiracy, the 371 offense to defraud the United States, to interfere with the lawful function of government, that also could be a charge. So there's sort of a menu of potential charges here that, if this evidence all pans out, might be demonstrated beyond a reasonable doubt, and you might see in an indictment from the special counsel.